On today's video, we're going to be smelting down some of these CPUs and trying to recover the gold out of them. So we've got our CPUs here, and I'm sure you guys know a lot more about these than I do. But there's a lot of gold in these. I think they're gold-plated pins. I think there's some gold bonding wires inside. We're going to try and smelt them down and get the gold out. And the first step is we're going to crush them down into smaller pieces so we can mix them in our crucible with some flux. And these are the 4 chips we're going to be doing. So our first step here is just going to be crush them up, break them up. I'm just going to hit them with a hammer. They don't have to be dust, but we probably want them about 1/4 inch and smaller. All right, here's all our chips crushed up. You can kind of see them close up here. There's that aluminum piece. I'm going to throw that in there as well, but there's our chips. So now we'll mix up our flux, and it consists of 3 components. There's anhydrous borax, lye, and silica sand. And these are the same 3 components I use for smelting ore, and I'm just going to apply them here to smelting these CPUs down. So I've got them mixed up. I used 100 grams of borax, 100 grams of lye, and then 50 grams of silica. I've added 30 grams of lead as a collector metal, and I'm just going to put them in the furnace, melt everything down, and hope all the precious metals go to the bottom and we can collect them. Now we got everything in our crucible here. We'll get her on our furnace, heat her up, and melt it all down. Right after our pour, there was a bunch of ceramic chips left in the bottom of that crucible. So here I'm scraping them out, and we ended up with, I don't know, maybe 10-20 grams of chips and some slag left over. When you pour the material into this cone mold, when it's molten, the very dense material goes down to the bottom of the cone, and all the slag floats on top. But all your precious metals and your lead collects down the bottom of the cone here. And then only the glass and the flux and the slag stay on top. So you have 2 parts. You have the slag on top and then the metal on the bottom. And a little tap of the hammer separates the metal from the slag. So here's our cleaned up button. And all the metals that we got molten are in this button. So the aluminum, the copper, the tin, the silver, gold, lead. And now we'll take it over to the cupel furnace. Here's our magnesia cupel. I'm going to take our lead button and put it right in our magnesia cupel. And that's going to heat up to about 1775 degrees Fahrenheit. The lead will melt. The oxides that are formed also become molten at about 1650 degrees Fahrenheit. And once that happens, the oxides will start shedding off that molten lead button and be absorbed by the cupel. And all the base metal oxides will end up being oxidized, and we'll be left with our precious metal bead at the very bottom. Yeah, our lead button's getting pretty small at this point. I found out actually there was a piece of steel that was in our lead, and so when the lead oxide was touching the steel and the iron in the piece of steel, the lead oxide was converting back to lead metal, and then it was oxidizing the iron, and then it had formed an iron coating of rust essentially over our button. So I had to pluck that piece of steel out. So here's those little chips and stuff that we had, and we're going to run it through this little Bico pulverizer, and the material feeds down here into between these 2 discs, and just this back disc goes around, and the material grinds up till it can come out that little slot between the discs. And you can pull these off so you can kind of see material feeds in here, and this disc goes around and it just grinds up on these hardened discs until it can come out that little between the two plates. All right, so here's our ground up chips from the crucible, and I'm just going to pan these a little bit here just to check and see if we have any precious metals, pins, or little lead BBs or whatever. Well, I got a little cow magnet here, and on the back of one of those CPUs there was a chunk of steel, and I just threw it in the pot, not really thinking, and it came back and bit us in the end. But there's a bunch of the little steel pieces and BBs and junk, probably ground up from the grinder as well. But I'm not seeing I'm not seeing anything exciting in the pan. So we'll just take it, let it cool down some, and see what color it is. So there's our button. It's real silvery, actually, surprisingly. I was hoping for gold, but we may have enough base metals in there that I'm going to get it weighed and then recupel it again with about another 20 grams of lead, just to see if we can pull out some more of those impurities and see if it really is silver in there, or if we got gold in there that's just being hidden by base metals. And there's our bead. It weighs 1.07 grams. So I've got just about 20 grams of lead here. I'm going to put that in a fresh cupel, put our little bead in there, and see if we can recover a gold-looking button instead of a silver-looking button. All right, here we're pulling her out for the second time. We'll let that cool down and see what color we got. And here's our button after the second cupel. It's still silver in color and weighs 1.07 grams. So it's exactly the same weight that it was. So we'll take it over and get it XRF'd and see if we can figure out what's in this thing. So there you have it. According to the XRF, it's about 2/3 silver and about 1/3 gold. So that was a real surprise to me. I was not expecting to have any silver. I was hoping for pretty much a pure gold bead. So what do you guys think? Where did all that silver come from? Were those pins silver with gold plating, or was there silver inside the CPU somewhere? So let me know what you think on that. The other thing that I would do differently next time is I would take off that little steel top piece that I thought was aluminum. I call it aluminum early in the video. But get that out of there. That's just junk that we don't want in our smelt, and it caused some problems for us. But I would also take our chips and I'd crush them up with a hammer, but then I'd grind them through that little Bico. I don't know what I was thinking. I was, you know, slipped my mind. So if we can get them to a powder form, it might dissolve those ceramic chips a little bit better, so we can get a complete decomposition of the smelt. All that being said, we still recovered a little over 0.3 grams of gold, so it averages out to be about 1/10 of a gram per CPU of those 4 I did. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.